are Category 6 hurricanes. What if 5 of them came ashore at the same time? Greetings, Bill Nye here. Today, I'm gonna let Elle ask me anything. Anything! But before we get started, be sure to watch The End Is Nigh, now streaming on Peacock. My first job was at a bike shop. They were Gitan bicycles and they didn't fit together perfectly. There was a lot of extra stuff to do. I was mediocre at it. The older guys were better at it. But then I became a mechanical engineer because I love the little shiny metal things. My first job out of engineering school, my first grown-up job, was at Boeing in Everett, Washington. The 747 was the first airplane, commercial airplane, that was all power steering. There was no direct connection between the pilot and the control surfaces. If all the engines go out, they showed that you can fly it just with so-called windmilling engines. Just the air blowing through the turbines was plenty enough to steer the plane. Amazing. But with that said, there was one test pilot, a British guy, that did not like this buzz in the control yoke, the steering wheel of the airplane. So this was a problem they gave to the young guy, to me. So I came up with this pipe that would cause a pressure wave to destructively interfere with the vibration wave. So next time you're on a 747, it's a fabulous plane. Enjoy the ride. My guy is Michael Faraday. I mean, obviously. No, so everybody, Michael Faraday is the guy after whom the Faraday cage is named. No, that was named after Nicolas Cage. No, that's a joke. So Michael Faraday was the guy who coined the word electromagnetism. In our story, Michael Faraday did what are called the Christmas lectures. Coil of wire connected by 2 wires. In this coil, he had a compass. And then over here, Michael Faraday had a bar magnet, a magnetized piece of iron. Moves the magnetized piece of iron in this coil of wire, and the compass moves. Like, whoa, dude, I'm not touching it. Like, this was new. Faraday realized the potential of electromagnetism along about 1830 or 31. That is pretty cool. Downtime? Seriously, I like to ride my bicycle. I do. I like to go swing dancing. Is that downtime? I do like to watch baseball, although Saturday, I did enjoy the playoff between the DC Breeze and the Philadelphia Ultimate Disc team. That game is going to take over the world, people. I mean, the most fun is you're telling a story. Everybody, there's 6 episodes, and at the end of the first half of each episode, I get killed. And telling that story is fun. And then the second half, I come back, and how things will be great with science. Hydra was a mythological creature you may know, had many heads. And there's a very small ocean organism called the Hydra because it has many tentacles. And so a thing that's mathematically possible, and by mathematically I mean people who run computer models, as they're called, of the Earth's atmosphere. It is possible to have many very, very large storms happening around the world at the same time. And this could be a catastrophe. Many of you watching probably remember Katrina, or you've heard of it. It was a very large hurricane that hit New Orleans, 2010, and it was a so-called Category 5. The bigger the number, the bigger the storm. Right. Well, Category 5 is Katrina devastated New Orleans, very costly, billions of dollars, lives ruined, and so on and so on. Well, there are Category 6 hurricanes, but so far they have only occurred on the open ocean, at sea. But what if one of them, what if 5 of them came ashore at the same time? And that's the premise of the bit in the first episode. Interested in everything. That's quite a brag, but I was under pressure, man. If I could visit Mars, I am on board with that. Another place I would like to visit is Europa, which is the moon of Jupiter, which has twice as much ocean water as the Earth. Now, is Europa a planet? There are people who insist Europa, all of these large objects that are spherical, should be planets. It gets tricky. I've met people who say they want to go live on Mars. No, there is nothing to eat, virtually no water, and you can't breathe. If we were to find evidence of life on another world, it would change life on this world, people. Everybody would feel differently about being a living thing. On Mars, near the equator, in the Martian summer, they have, if there are any of them, they have summer on Mars. It gets slushy. The ice is so salty, maybe it turns to liquid, maybe it's slush. Are there microbes still hanging on? If they have DNA, does that suggest that Mars was hit with an impactor? Woo, woo, woo. Mars rocks were tossed into space. Woo, 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 woo. They landed, except in space, there's no sound, it's just. And they landed here on Earth, and you and I are descendants of Martians? Like, whoa. I prefer hot dogs to hamburgers. If you're given the choice, it seems to me, anecdotally, most people would prefer a hamburger. Like everyone, I'm phasing out the meat, yes. To the vegans out there, I'm hip, but we got to solve the B12 problem. So if you're out there, you're a geneticist, if you can get B12 in a crop, or a crop that can be farmed on a large scale, that'd be great. So get her done. So everybody, I got a significant change in my life by winning the Steve Martin lookalike contest. And the guy is so thoughtful and so clever, I just do not want to disrespect him in any way. A bit that I really respect as trying to be a comedy writer myself, I'm so mad at my mother. She called me up this morning, she wanted to borrow $10 for some food. I said, hey Mom, I work for a living. I lent her the money, had one of my secretaries take it down. She called me back this afternoon, she said she couldn't pay me back for a while. I said, what is this, Mom? I worked it out with her, she's gonna do some work on my transmission. If she can't fix that, she's gonna take my barbells up to the attic. People, that's 8 punchlines in a minute. Try to write that. No. And it ends in a K. Take it up to the attic. That is such crisp comedy writing. I'm telling you, people. I'm telling you. The Dust Bowl in the 1930s is really bad. And so those of you, for some reason, have not read The Grapes of Wrath. That's what it's about. It's people in Oklahoma losing their livelihood, losing their farms because of a combination of two things. A natural drought or period of dryness combined with very poor, thoughtless, or reckless farming practices. It got so bad that the dust that was blown into the air in this period from the Midwest in North America and Canada, that dust blew all the way to Washington, D.C. and had a layer of dust on, my understanding is the Resolute desk or the equivalent, or congressional office desks. And so that's when the U.S. government got on it and created the Department of Agriculture and got the soil scientists to go out to the Midwest and understand what was happening. And the trouble is, everybody, it could happen again if we are thoughtless and reckless. And so we rely on rainfall for our food, but we also rely on this underground water storage geological formation, which we call the Ogallala Aquifer. A ferry boat carries things. To ferry things is to carry them. So an aquifer is water-bearing, water-carrying rock formation, underground formation. And so we don't want to pump that down so far that we can't eat. And this takes paying attention. And so that is the subject of one of the episodes, which is going to be your favorite streaming show. Thank you. Where I'm healthy, where I'm not sick, feel I'm productive, maybe get a chance to exercise, ride my bike, go swing dancing, spend time with my wife. That's a pretty great day. Oh man, I would very much like to be able to play well a guitar and maybe a saxophone. Not at the same time. Oh, Bill, you can learn to play guitar. You can do that. Okay, I know. I'm working on it. Then the other thing I'd very much like to do is be able to speak French. Well, Bill, you can learn to speak French. I know. I'm working on it. My wife is fluent in French. So let's go, people. Last show I guess Ms. Maisel was the last show I binged. We'll start with water. See? But I do like popcorn. I do like music, all kinds of music. And is that 3 if you count water, but you're looking for something else. Salad. So every night, people, you mean most? No, every night I make salad dressing with salt, garlic, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar? What about fruit vinegar? No, apple cider vinegar, a Dijon mustard a little bit, and olive oil, sometimes other vegetable oil. So could I live without it? I get, but I'd rather not. A feature, a blurse, as was coined on a show I worked on, a blessing and a curse. The thing about Bill Nye, shown here, me, kind of what you see is what you get. I really do love science, and I really get joy every time I do any one of those fundamental elementary science demonstrations or experiments. I love them. Vinegar and baking soda, I love it. The thing that flaps and sends the water bottle flying across the room, I can't get enough. When you see the plant absorbing the carbon dioxide and giving off oxygen. It's so cool to me, people. So I'm not sure there's anything that would shock people. If there is, let me know. You know, use the electric Twitter thing that the kids are always tweeting. The most important is that it's a process. Science is not exclusively a body of knowledge. It's the way that we obtain knowledge. It's the way we learn about objective truths. In philosophy, it's called so-called justified true beliefs. The sun is a star. Yes. There was a Big Bang. Yes, you can prove this to yourself. That's the biggest idea in science, is it's a process to achieve justified true beliefs. The first time I thought I made it was when I got a job at Boeing. It took me 4 years, 3.5 years to figure out that the way you do okay, the way I would do okay at Cornell, is to take one course that you can handle. And that course that I took was Astronomy 102. So I was a senior. I had taken 3.5 years of calculus, and then I took a freshman course for fun. And that enabled me to get on the dean's list. I digress. That spring, I got interviewed by Dave Lacey, a manager at Boeing, and I said the right things, and he hired me. And you guys, my first job in the summer of 1977 was $15,000 at the Boeing Commercial Airplane Company, and that's when I thought, I have made it. I got paid to do homework problems. People come up to me all the time and tell me the reason they're a physician, they've become a physician, the reason they're a geneticist, the reason they're an engineer is because they claim they watch the Science Guy show. That is really something. So when these people come up to me and tell me that, it really gets me. I get choked up. So thank you, all. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. I'm Bill Nye. Check out my new show, The End Is Nigh, streaming on Peacock. And of course, turn it up loud!